Hi everyone. The following video will show you a sample of some different types of scenarios that you're likely to encounter in a tabletop role-playing game. Additionally, please be familiar with the following words and their definitions. Role-playing game, or RPG, a game in which players take on the roles of imaginary characters who engage in adventures, typically in a fictional setting overseen by a game master. Game master, or GM. The person in charge of running the adventure scenario with the players. They move the action of the story along through narration and interaction with the players and their characters. The GM also makes the final call on rules and mechanics during encounters. Player characters. The characters that the players will use in the game to navigate and interact with the storyline. Non-player characters, or NPCs. Characters within the story whose actions and dialogue are determined by the game master. They may act as guides, accomplices, narrators, or antagonists throughout the story. Okay, let's get started and begin the adventure. We'll begin by listening to player introductions and the beginning of their adventure, where they accept their mission.
All right, folks. So we're going to go down the line, and I'm going to ask everybody to introduce themselves and your characters, and give us a little bit of information about what your character's good at and what kind of stuff they've got, because all of you have been traveling together for a while, so you're pretty familiar with what each other has and does. Gabe, we'll start with you.
My name is Gabriel, and I will be playing Stev, the survivalist. Growing up in the outskirts of a village obsessed with gems, Stev learned to live off the land, away from the mindless yabberings of society. With his might and ingenuity alone, he has built temporary homes all over the countryside. As an adventurer, he has learned to create and build on his own. He's a man of action and few words, and he is armed with a long sword, leather and mail armor, his mining tools, a strong axe for felling trees, and some flint and steel for making camps.
Excellent. And for the purposes of this game, what is your number?
I will be a number 2, all broad.
Excellent.
As close as I can get.
All right, next down the line, Alex.
Hi, my name is Alex Smith, and I will be playing Ophelia Klein, a courtier alchemist for the Queen. I'm going to be carrying a grimoire, potions, a signet ring, a cane, and the glasses, because I'm very, very farsighted. For the purposes of this game, my number is a 5.
Excellent. Thank you. Chapman.
Hi, I'm Chapman. I'll be playing Mandrick Engelbert. I'm a courtier merchant who's been sent by his kingdom to sell the fine apples to other lands. With him, he has a ledger with a quill and ink, a dagger, a set of fancy clothes, a sack of the best apples you've ever had, and an obnoxiously shiny amulet.
Perfect. What number are you for this game?
He's a 4.
Excellent, thank you. And finally, Melissa.
My name is Melissa, and my name is Nilbai. Nilbai is a performer alchemist, and on his person, he is wearing a lab coat, he's got lab goggles on his head, and he's got a utility belt with various different pouches of various flammable powders, as well as some glassware. He used to be a science teacher who accidentally blew a hole in the ceiling of the lab, and now he's a traveling magician.
Wah, 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 wah.
And what number is Nilbai for the purposes of the game?
3.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And I'm Josh Maltby. I'll be your game master for the evening, and I'll be guiding you through this adventure. So let's get it started. All of you are traveling adventurers, seeking fame and fortune on the road, and you have heard of a woman in the town of Westchester who goes by the name of Gazrin Sprocketfire. She is a young, gnomish woman with not a lot of details on her past or personal life, but the distinct knowledge that she's recently come into a lot of money, and that she's looking for work that she needs adventurers to do. You make your way to Westchester, and you hear that if you visit a specific tavern on the edge of town around lunchtime, you can find her there every day. So you do so, and as you walk into the tavern, you see a few people scattered around. You see the proprietor standing behind the bar, ready to serve beverages and food, and you see a young gnomish woman sitting by herself at a table eating roast and drinking a fizzy beverage. What would you like to do?
Stev takes a step forward. Which one of these people do you think is the Sprocket woman?
Sounds like a gnomish name to me, and I would imagine the only gnome in this tavern is probably the one we're looking for. She must have money if she can, eat like this every day.
Got really nice shoes. That's a good start.
Very
That's
well
actually a
built.
very fair point. I'm
Yes.
impressed by you, Nil.
I mean,
Shall we... I don't want to talk to her. She looks small and crafty. I've
Does she
seen
look,
small
like,
things run
bothered?
fast.
Not particularly. She appears to be enjoying her meal rather a bit, and is kind of... It's not apparent from the distance you're at, but she might be humming to herself. She's kind of like bobbing
While eating?
in a rhythmic fashion.
Yeah, you know how you just like beatbox when you're
bumping,
eating.
bumping, bumping.
Just gnome things.
Yeah, just gnome things.
Mandrake Engelbert will approach. Miss Sprocketfire, is that you?
Yes, hello.
Oh my god.
I hear that you're looking for adventurers to do work.
Oh, excellent. Yes. Hold on. And she takes a napkin and she quickly wipes at her face, and then she sets it aside and she goes, "Yes, there's something that I desperately want done, but no one's brave enough to do it. And so I decided that the best thing to do would be to hire adventurers."
Well, I'm pretty brave. I think.
There are few braver than I, Stev.
I'm just along for the ride, truthfully.
And I stick my hand in one of my little pouches, and I kind of woo, and there's like a little sparkly gold arc, and I'm like, see, this is great.
You basically just did like the adventure. It's delightful.
So what are we doing?
Well, that's the tricky part. So there is, in the neighboring town, there is a shop called Valdri's Toy Store. Valdri was a bit of a childhood hero of mine, and some unfortunate things happened in the toy store. There were a couple of accidents, and a few people got hurt. Nothing major, but it was enough to make everyone afraid that they couldn't let their children or anyone like that be in there because they'd be in danger. So Valdri he shut himself in. And I don't know. I think he's still in there because food goes missing every now and then, but there's only rabbit trails that lead to and from the door, and no one's seen him in months.
So Ophelia is going to kind of like flick whatever like nearby tavern dirt has dared to get on her clothes, and sort of like stops and looks over at Gazra and is just sort of like, "I'm sorry. You needed to enlist the help of adventurers because everyone's afraid of a toy shop?"
Well, see, I had considered going in myself, but then a few people tried to loot the place, and some of them didn't come back out.
What do you mean by didn't come back out? Are they toys now?
We don't really know. The one guy who did come back out said that there were noises and that there were dangerous toys everywhere, and they said it was spooky, which is never a good sign. And then he heard some noises. Two of his friends disappeared on him, And he was like, I'm getting out of here. I'll see you guys when I get back to town, provided you make it. And they were never seen again.
So
How-
what she... Oh, excuse me.
How long ago did this happen?
3 weeks. About the same amount of time I've been asking for adventurers.
Wait, I have a question. What are toys?
Small little things that children play with.
They're fun things for children to enjoy and maybe even
And
to
they're-
help them learn.
Dangerous?
Like small versions of people or animals that, I don't know.
The idea of them is not to be dangerous.
Right. They shouldn't, in theory, be dangerous, but the suspicion is that these are, which is why I need adventurers. I am willing to pay, and I'm willing to pay well, if you can go into the toy store, retrieve Valdri, alive and unharmed, and bring him to me.
Okay.
Is there dinner in this meal? I mean, I'm hungry. Is there dinner in this quest?
I suppose I could buy dinner as part of your fee.
I care not for gold.
I will tell you, Stev, gold can buy many dinners.
That roast looks really, really good.
I will take the gold then.
You can find me here any day at lunchtime.
Where are you otherwise?
I tend to travel around a little bit otherwise, so I could give you my itinerary, but that's going to be kind of a lot. So let's just say meet me here at lunch after however long it takes you to find and retrieve Valdri.
Vague is good. I like that.
You should vary your lunch places. Staying in one spot is an excellent way to be jumped by predators.
A diet that's not varied could be, detrimental to your health.
All right, but for the purposes of this, it means we know where to find her. We can critique her diet later.
Very well. Let us kill these toys so that I may get my dinner.
Nobody said anything about killing.
We don't need
Well,
to
then
do anything
what?
strange with the toys. We just need to find the strange little toy maker and get him over here, and then we get money, for which you
Just
can
take
then
out the
buy many
battery.
much foods.
Let us be off then.
Same sentiment, so we're good to go. So we're going to travel over to Valdri's.
Mm-hmm. So you travel to the next town over. You find Valdri's toy shop very easily because it's right at the center of town. The building itself appears to be fairly dilapidated, at least on the outside. Just peeking through the door, which has long since, been decomposed and destroyed by weather and the elements and otherwise, you can see that there are piles upon piles of toys visible just through the doorway in various states of deconstruction themselves. The grass leading up to the building is thick and fully grown, but there are small rabbit trails leading to and from the door and into the toy shop itself. And inside there is where your adventure will begin.
Are they like actual rabbit trails, or is it like just the term rabbit trail?
I mean, por qué no los dos?
At this point, the party has entered Valdri's toy store and are making their way through the rooms in the shop. What follows is a good example of the first few turns of a combat encounter. It may be helpful for you to have the mechanics guide for Brains and Brawn handy during this part of the video so that you can see how the game system and dice rolls affect what the characters can do. Also, keep in mind the following terms and their definitions. Initiative. This determines the order of turns in a combat scenario. Monsters and NPCs will also have to roll initiative for each combat scenario. Hit points, HP, and recovery. Hit points determine how much damage a character can take. Lost HP is recovered after the characters have had a good night's sleep or use an item or special ability such as a magic potion or healing spell.
As a party, you enter into a room filled wall to wall with racks and shelves and hangers full of costumes. There are jesters' outfits, princess outfits, knights' costumes. There's just about anything you can imagine as a costume is a costume in this room.
The armors available here are horrible at camouflage.
Stev, given your predilections, you will also notice that the armor is incredibly poorly made out of very shoddy material that is not good for defending yourself at all.
I've returned to my understanding that toys are for children. Apparently, children that you hate.
You're not trying to send them into battle, Stev. They're to pretend. They're to play. It's fun for them, I assume.
Stev is going to sort of just walk into the middle area and be remarking, as a child, I punched down trees with my own fists. I had no time for toys.
Of course you did.
Stev apparently lived a very Minecraft childhood.
You just punch trees. Alright, so what else is going to be in this room? If we go in to investigate it and sort of look around, what are we going to see in sort of the racks of the costumes?
So part of the trouble that you're running into is that much like the rest of the store, it's clearly been overfilled with the product that should be on display. There's where you would expect to see a rack of costumes nicely arranged so that you can sift through them and see what kinds you might like. It's full to overflowing with hangers which have costumes hanging off of them. The insides of the racks are completely unseeable because of all the fabric blocking the way. They're like large fabric blockades in between spaces. Trying to look across the room, your sight is impeded very quickly by racks and racks of costumes.
The outside of the building was pretty messed up looking. What is the condition of the inside of the building? Like, is it like magically gross on the outside but magically not on the inside, something like that?
It's dusty, as if no one has done any care or upkeep. Many of the racks, which have been suffering under the weight of far too many costumes, are bowing in the middle. The overall state of maintenance is low and pretty awful, but the shelves themselves and things like that seem to be holding up okay, at least for now.
Oh, this is making me so sad.
Yeah. What's the first costume that I'm able to actually, like, yank out? I want to put it on.
You shove your hand into a rack and you grab fabric and you start pulling. And as it starts coming out, you have a long blue flowing robe covered in golden moons and stars.
I put it on.
Perfect.
I put it on.
As you go to take the robe off of the hanger, you notice that under the robe on the hanger is a pointy tan-colored hat.
I always wanted to be a wizard. I put it on.
Okay, so Nilbai is now wearing a long blue flowing wizard's robe. The fabric is pretty itchy and not terribly well made, but fortunately for you, you're wearing your lab coat underneath it, so you don't actually feel that much of the fabric anyway.
I do on my neck a little bit, though.
A little bit, yeah.
Mandrake
What
Angle.
manner of wool did they use for this? It smells
From
horrible.
sad sheep.
I'm gonna pull out my axe and just sort of like glare around the room. angry at this clothing.
You're gonna fight these costumes.
He's ready.
You need a better costumer. This is awful.
I make all of my own clothes.
Your seamstress is terrible.
Mandrake Engelbert turns to look deep into this place as he can and shouts out, "Hello, toy maker! We are here to rescue us. Can you hear me?" Here to rescue you.
Give me a perception roll. That's going to be brains.
And I need to roll under.
And you
I
need to
rolled-
roll under your number, brains.
I rolled a 3, so
And you are a 4, correct?
yes.
Excellent. Did you roll 1 3 or did you roll 2 3s?
I rolled a 1 and a 2.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, I see.
So-
I see.
So the way the dice work, since we haven't done a whole lot of dice rolls up to this point, the way the dice work is that one success on your die is a partial success that usually comes with a cost. 2 successes is a full success, and 3 successes, which you can only get by expertise or being prepared, is a very, very good success. Basically ideal conditions. So with 2 successes, you hear on the other side of the room, close to the far wall, a skittering sound, almost like the claws of a dog on a hardwood floor. And then it disappears.
I would say that sounded like the claws of a dog on hardwood floor.
Like,
Mandrake, it sounds like you heard something.
Yes, I heard what sounded like the claws of a dog on hardwood floor.
I can't continue that joke. Stev will turn, take a few steps in that direction, and sort of like have the axe ready, and glare out like a wolf
Wolves have claws, like a dog. Yeah,
on a hardwood floor. Yes.
on a hardwood floor. You are, in fact, on a hardwood floor, yes.
That does make it
So you're-
less suspicious.
You're proceeding, Stev, further into the room towards where Mandrake
Yes.
is pointing out he heard the sound.
Yeah, like just taking slow, steady steps in that direction.
Okay. You travel a little bit further into the room. If none of the rest of you are following, you are going to lose sight of Stev as he travels towards the sound.
I'm
Is
No,
there-
I'm absolutely following Stev. I do not trust this man unsupervised in this building at all.
Is there any like items, easily movable items that are roughly like chest high nearby, especially like in front of me?
I mean, you could,
Preferably, what I'm envisioning is like a small rack of costumes, but like a shorter one.
yeah, you could see a kid's rack of costumes, a small children's-sized rack of costumes.
I would like to angle myself so that it is between me and the direction that Mandrake pointed out. And I'll put my foot against it, and I will kick it as hard as I can across the room.
Okay. I'm going to assume, since it is a rack of costumes, that you're
Yes.
not putting your foot against the costumes which are hanging from the rack and
Yes.
kicking from the middle, that you're
Well-
moving to one of the poles and kicking that.
That would be the smart thing to do.
Okay, what are you actually doing now?
Probably finding the bulkiest section of it and just letting a big kick fly.
Okay, go ahead and roll brawn for me.
It's 2d6.
2d6.
All right.
You are a burly miner type, right?
Yes.
So I'm going to go ahead and say that you are an expert at using your feet to move heavy objects. So that's 3d6 total.
Oh, my. All right. So, and I'm trying to roll over, right?
You are trying to roll over your number, yes.
Well, I rolled 2 2s and a 4.
Oh, That's Brainy Bronze. So the 2 twos that you rolled each are successes, but also you are allowed to ask a question about what is going on right now for each of those.
Ooh, 2 questions. Oh, pressure.
Do you want me to describe the outcome of your kick before you ask your questions?
Yes.
Okay. So, for anyone that's watching Stev, this is a little unusual. He puts his foot to the middle of the rack, right where the densest packing of costumes is, and he kicks. And instead of the rack just swaying a little bit as he kicks costumes out from the middle, as you would expect, the entire rack topples over and slides across the floor as if it is one large, kind of soft, solid object.
Must have had like one of those masks, like those really big bulky masks on the inside.
I'm just ruling that it was so tightly packed.
Yeah.
And you rolled so well that it actually worked, even though it really shouldn't have.
Right. I am also impressed.
You
questions.
You are a collaborative group, so the
Yes.
questions may come from any of you, but since you're the one that got the role, you get final say on whether that's the question that gets asked.
Fantastic. Well, I will use one of them immediately, and then I will outsource the other.
Okay.
One question. What is the overall, like, I guess, shape of the room, like, beyond what we can perceive with the clothing and everything everywhere? Like, is it like a big L shape or something? Does it go further past? Are there more doors? That kind of thing.
Okay. So you perceive the room almost intuitively. You can't see all of the room, but by kind of marking spaces on the walls where you can see walls, you realize that the room itself is kind of an oval shape. One end being where you entered at one point of the oval, and the other point of the oval being on the opposite side.
Oh. I used my echolocation that I perfected in the mines. Anyone else have a question?
What I think we should ask, what is the source of the dog paw sounds?
Where did it go?
Where did it
Towards
come
What
from?
it
away?
is
Nigel.
way more important than where it went.
Well, yeah, that's true.
If it's like a small, like if it's like a rat or something, like yeah, it's fine, we don't have to worry about it. But if it's like a wolf that's
Yeah.
inexplicably hunting in the toy store, I want to know.
I mean, Stev would be ready for a wolf. But yes, that question. What is, as best that it can be approximated or understood, the identity of this phantom scratcher?
Okay. So I know I have to be honest with you all, but I'm not just going to give up the ghost that easy. So what I'll give you is the sound that you heard. While it sounded like dog paws, wasn't quite dog paws. It was a little bit ceramic sounding and a little bit felt sounding, like a toy made animate.
So you won't give up the ghost, but will you give up the phantom scratcher?
I
not a
think he
ghost.
just did.
Mandrake takes out an apple and, using his dagger, slices off a perfect wedge and lays it out on the floor in front of the party to see if it'll attract whatever this creature is.
I've never known someone commit their own safety to their sales pitch.
Sounds like a Mandrake thing, honestly.
Truthfully.
No, I don't know if they're gonna want an apple, because if it kind of sounded like it was like wood, not like flesh. So I think it might be a toy, and I don't think these kinds of toys eat. Maybe, I don't know. That's just my guess.
Well, if they don't
as-
eat, they might not eat us.
That's true. That's true.
As you are doubting the appealing nature of Mandrake's apples, you hear rustling amongst the racks.
Oh, I don't like that.
One of the racks to your left begins to rustle. Stev, a rack immediately to your right and in front of you begins to rustle. And then from somewhere back towards the entrance to this room, a third rack begins to rustle.
Stev stands up tall, looking around as he was about to pick up the wedge of apple and eat it, but has now stopped, as there might be danger.
5-second roll, ew.
A trio of costumes burst from these 3 racks and come flying towards your party.
Our party or the apple?
Your party. Well, the apple's kind of central to your party at the moment, since Stev is out in the front like he is. But I am going to need all of you to roll your preparedness for combat. You can use either brains or brawn for this, whichever is better for you.
So 2 dice for this, right?
2 dice for this, except Stev, who's going to get a 3rd dice for being ready for combat.
Yes.
Can I say I
Always
was
ready.
watching for if this would attract whatever is in the whatever would come? That's why I put it out.
I'll allow it. I'll allow your bait to be a preparation to give you a 3rd die.
Yeah.
So I rolled for brains, so it has to be under my number, right?
Correct.
All right, I rolled a 2 and a 1.
Okay. Well,
So
that's 2
crushing it.
successes. Oh, that's not good. That's also not great. That's a little better. All right. What did everybody get? So
Stev got 2 6s and a 4.
okay.
Rolling for brawn.
Okay.
Rolling for brains. Hi, baby. Nil rolled a 1 and a 6. I don't know what to do with that.
Rolled a 1 and a 6.
Yeah.
Either side.
So, I mean, that's 1 success either way.
Okay.
Good news, you don't get the partial success with consequences when it's initiative that we're rolling. Mandrake, what did you get?
I got a 1, a 2, and a 3, all for brains.
Excellent. And your number is a 4, if I recall.
4.
Excellent. All right. So that is 3 successes for you, 3 successes for Stev. I know y'all are going to be really shocked by this, but you 2 are going first.
Bum, bum, bum.
So I'm going to say, Stev, since your weapon is out and drawn, I'm going to have you go first of the 2 of you. What do you want to do?
I will. Stev will turn to face this costume. What does the costume look like?
The costume is a white costume covered with red stars, and it has a cap with a floppy fabric red ball at the end of the cap. You suspect that the person was trying to dress up as some kind of clown if they were to be wearing this costume.
Wait, so does it look like it's just a costume, or is it like somebody wearing a costume?
No, it looks like a costume,
Okay.
but the costume appears filled out, as if filled by air.
That's creepy.
That was going to change whether or not I was going to use the blade of the axe. Definitely going to use the blade of the axe and just swing directly down into this creature, trying to like get it at the shoulder and cut into its torso.
All right.
2d6?
3d6. You have an item actually for combat.
I do.
You came very well prepared for fighting things.
I'm so prepared for fighting things. Am I an expert in axe swinging?
You're definitely an expert in mining. I don't know. You know what?
Well,
You should have gone with the mining pick as your weapon.
I,
Didn't
I,
give you
well,
advantage then.
I do say, as a profession, learn to farm, mine, and smith, including chopping down trees and stuff like that.
Well, and you are probably swinging this axe in a very either farming or felling trees kind of motion. I'll allow it. All right.
Very much like if I was chopping roots to dig.
4d6.
Oh, beautiful. Wow. All right.
Did it make all the difference?
We'll see. I rolled a... so I'm trying to roll above a 2, correct?
Uh-huh.
I rolled a 1,
Well,
a 2,
not ideal.
a 3, and a 3.
Okay, so you got 3 successes. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, 3 successes, because you got
Yes.
a 2, a 3, and a 3. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so 3 successes on the clown costume, and you are allowed to ask a question.
This isn't the question. Is it a hit? Am I actually getting into this thing?
So that is not only you hitting, but also you dealing damage. Yes. So instead of having you, as you might have been familiar with in Dungeons and Dragons, where you roll to hit and then you roll to see how much damage you do, we roll both of those at once in Brains and Brawn.
So would it be the total of the dice that actually
Succeeded. Yes.
Nice. Okay. So yeah, as I slam into this thing, what is on the inside? I gotta know.
The inside is completely hollow. It is not elevated by a ghost or a spirit. It is the costumes themselves which have been made animate and brought to life.
Oh, this is messing me up for Spirit Halloween, man.
You're going to have a really difficult time walking through costume sections from here forward.
I will be ready.
All right.
All right, so yeah, that's my turn.
That's Stev's turn. Mandrake, what you got for me?
Mandrake is going to pull out his dagger and slash at the nearest costume.
Okay. Yeah. Do it. So I will give you, since you have a dagger, I will give you an additional d6 for your combat.
I got a 1, 2, and 4.
Okay. And you're rolling brawn on that because it's a dagger. And you are a 4.
Yes.
So you succeed one time, which means you and the costume are both going to get a little bit hurt on this one. And I think what happens is that this costume has a lot of cardboard embellishments. It is a suit of knight's armor. And as you punch your dagger through it, you get a really gnarly box cut up your arm. It's like a paper cut,
No,
but so much worse.
it's like my arm's been cut by paper, but so much worse.
But
You want to chill out there, Adam West?
your
Oh, we
one
are Vander.
your one success was Brainy Bronze. Do you have any questions for me?
Do I see how to defeat these creatures?
You feel confident that if you are to damage the overall structure enough, that they'll simply fall apart.
Perfect.
Is I don't know if I can ask this. Is the costume that Stev sliced through, was that sliced all the way through so it's just like in half, or was it like floppy? Like what happened after?
It's still a little bit attached kind of at the back. Stev cut through the front portion of it very cleanly, but it's still intact, but it's not holding itself together tremendously well at the moment.
But it's not like it did like one of these, so it's like standing up straight, but now it's sliced in the front, so it's just like flopped over backward.
Well, it's sliced in the front, and it's a little billowy right there, where it's been sliced, but it is still upright, yes.
Okay.
Next in initiative, I have Ophelia.
Wonderful. So there is one that Mandrake is taking on, one that Stev is taking on. There's a third one, and that's
Correct.
the final one that you've mentioned.
Yes.
All right. So they have
fine.
they have that covered, so I'm not going to worry too much about that. With a flourish of my hand, my grimoire is going to come off of my belt, like do a circle around me, and then open in front of me. Because I'm very extra that way. I'm going to start an incantation, raise my hands and channel an acidic blast into them and shoot it directly at the third costume, trying to dissolve it.
Okay. Go ahead and roll 3d6 since you are using, and brains, since you're using magic and you are prepared for using magic with your grimoire.
Can I get a fourth because I'm an expert at magic?
She is a 5. She's pretty smart.
I'm very smart.
Well, you're an alchemist though, right? Like you're an alchemist and a courtier?
Yes.
Oh. So would an alchemist truly be an expert at magica?
Ooh, that's a good
I do
point.
carry around a cane that is also a magical staff, though.
No, I think I'm going to have to keep you at 3 on this one.
Fair and reasonable. All right, so I got a 4, a 2, and a 6.
So those are 2 successes, which is a complete success. You don't have to worry about consequences on that one. Your acidic blast, as the costume approaches you, you see that it is a king's outfit. A crown on top, just floating above a regal cloak with fine clothing. As you hit it with the
Well, now I
acidic
feel
blast,
bad.
you realize is made of very, very poorly constructed fibers they're not ideal. They're not ideal at all. I have 2 costumes, and one of them is going to attack Stev, because Stev did a lot of damage to it.
Bring it on.
And it's going to succeed. Stev, you take 2 damage as the costume wraps itself around your neck and begins to try to strangle you.
No, not okay. Bad toy.
Mandrake, since you hit the other one, and as your hand is still within it, it tries to attack you, but unfortunately, in doing so, manages to damage itself at the same time. You take 1 point of damage as it takes an additional point of damage from your dagger within it.
What are our hit points?
So your hit points are going to be 5 plus your brawn number. So for Nilbai, that's going to be 8 because you have a brawn rating of 3. For Mandrake Engelbert, that's going to be 7. For Ophelia Klein, that's going to be 6. And then for Stev, that's going to be 10.
10 minus 2. I took 2 damage, right?
Right.
Yeesh.
As did I.
We'll now rejoin the party later in the adventure as they try to solve a puzzle encounter.
As you proceed to the doorway, it is nearly to the ceiling in height. It is about 15 feet tall. It is a double door, and the handles move easily. You suspect that it's unlocked. Would you like to proceed through?
How wide is this door?
Wide enough for 2 people to pass shoulder to shoulder.
Fantastic. I will put my hands out to grab and attempt to open this door.
Excellent. You turn the knob, The door swings open kind of ponderously. It's a very heavy door, and the hinges are not well oiled, so there is a very ominous creaking sound as it opens.
Heck yes.
The room beyond is wall to wall, as the previous room was with costumes. The next room is with jesters. There are small jesters, life-sized jesters. Some are very sad. Some are almost manically excited to be jesters. All of them are wearing checkered patterns, and some are wearing hats with jingling bells atop them. There are stilts in places that appear to be very long legs wearing jester's pants. At the bottoms are shoes with bells on. Across the room, you can see bits and pieces, patches, if you will, of wall. And those patches of wall are a soft, kind of faded purple and green pattern, checkered as well across what sections you can see. On the opposite end of the room, which is available to you, standing where you are in the doorway, is another doorway, in front of which there are two sconces, and in front of those is a single basket in the middle of the floor that you think you can see something faintly glowing from within. The double doors on the opposite end of the room have bowl shapes inside the door themselves. How would you like to proceed?
Steph will take steps in, look around. I'm still not vibing with this toy idea.
I think I'm gonna have nightmares. This is creepy.
I decidedly do have the GBs.
This chamber is quite upsetting.
I'm gonna walk over to the basket with the faintly glowing thing. I have my cane, and I'm just going to kind of poke at the basket to, if it's not already open, to open it and look in to see what's glowing.
You use the end of your cane to flip the lid off of the basket, and inside are 5 orbs. 3 of them glowing brightly, and 2 that are transparent. The 3 brightly glowing orbs are each a basic color: red, yellow, and blue.
Mandrake,
Yes?
this seems more your kind of thing. Either you or Nil knows what you're doing with this.
So there's green and purple patches on the wall, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we've got primary colors for the orbs and secondary colors for the wall.
Correct.
So we should mix the orbs. Stop it. My kitty keeps on hitting my D6s off of the table.
Your cat just wants to roll. Your cat wants to play a character.
The cat is, I am nil by now.
She is nil by. Okay. I don't want to touch these orbs though. Do the jesters look like they're, I don't know.
Do the jesters look like
hold a finger up in the air?
Are the jesters looking a particular direction?
Oh,
No.
I don't like that question.
I don't like it either.
So
The jester's vision is scattered all about the room. Much like a rock band album cover, they are looking in all directions, not really anywhere specifically. They seem to be looking in whatever direction they were set down in.
So Ophelia is going to pick up the blue and the red orbs. She's going to look around to see if there's any kind of apparatus in this room.
There are a pair of sconces beside the door.
She is going to put the red orb in one of the sconces, walk over to the other one, and pop the blue orb into that sconce.
As you approach the sconces themselves, you see that each sconce has space in it for 2 orbs and has impressions for 2 orbs as well.
Well, absolutely. I was not going to do any of that. I was going to take both of them and put them into a single sconce. Clearly, that's what I meant.
I wanted to get that clear to you before you finished, but you were on a roll. So as you put you said red and blue?
Yes.
As you put the red and blue orbs into the sconce, let's say just on the left, one of the transparent balls lights up purple.
So what's left in the basket are the purple orb, the yellow orb, and the transparent orb.
Correct. And there are 2 shallow impressions that look kind of like bowls in the door itself.
All right, I'm going to pick up the purple orb, walk over, and pop it into the door.
Okay. As you press the purple orb against the door, you can feel a sort of humming come from both the orb and the door itself.
I'm going to constantly pull it back and push it in and pull it back and push it in because if it's doing that hum, that's going to be weird.
The hum starts and stops as it makes contact with the door.
So we need to make green.
Green as grass and leaves on trees.
Yes, and this checker pattern.
Should I hit it?
Probably not. No, I wouldn't do that.
Don't punch it.
Mandrake takes a beautiful green apple from his sack and places it where we would put a green orb.
Yes. Please work.
Green apple.
You press the green apple into the bowl on the other side of the door from where Ophelia was pressing the purple orb, and nothing happens.
Perhaps it's just not the right hue.
So we just need to. So if I walk over and pull the pull the blue orb out of the sconce, does the purple orb go back to its original form?
No, the purple orb remains purple as you remove the blue orb from the sconce.
Dope. I'm going to go over to the sconce with the other orb and pop that in.
So you pop the blue orb into the other sconce.
With the yellow.
And the remaining transparent ball lights up green.
Oh, this reminds me of tanning and dyeing fabrics. Very interesting.
You've never gone shopping, have you?
I've traded wares for wares before, but my shopping has been done with you, which mostly involves carrying the things that you purchase.
And you're so good at it.
The only reason that you match nowadays is because of Ophelia. Let's be real.
Well, thank you, Nell. I do my best.
Plaid and stripes? Like, what are you doing?
We don't talk about the dark times.
You look good now, though.
I like assuming that he's good enough that he's good enough at weaving and dyeing that he can make plaid and stripes and not just base colors.
Dang,
I'm going to tell you right now, I'm just assuming you found like plaid pants and we're like, these will work.
That's actually more likely, yes.
So I love you all dearly. I love you all dearly. You have a purple ball and a green ball. What are you doing with them?
They go indoor. We put them in the door.
Door.
As you press both of the orbs into the impressions on the door.
I draw my sword.
The orbs begin humming significantly more violently, and the door begins to rattle and shake, and then opens.
I'm gonna take a couple steps back from the door as it does this.
Ouch.
As the door swings its way open very slowly, the sound of stone dragging on stone against the floor, you see within a workshop. There are several piles of toys, and at the back of the room, a single table, upon which sits a small candle, some writing implements, and several stacks of parchment. Behind this workshop table is a tall shelf covered in prototype toys that you haven't seen anywhere else in the entire store. Some of them seem very advanced, while some others seem very basic, but all of them appear to have not made it into full production to make it out to the floor itself. Sitting at this work table is a very bedraggled, very wizened looking gnome. And as the door opens, he looks up to all of you and says, hello?
I look wildly at the rest of my group.
You look
No,
quite tired.
Yeah.
When writing puzzles, give all of the details necessary to solve the puzzle. It can be helpful to include a note to the GM, a note that is not to be given to other players, with clear instructions on how to solve the puzzle so that the GM can decide for themselves which details to give out to their players and when. During gameplay, the GM may need to give more or less guidance in a situation where the party is trying to solve a riddle or puzzle, depending on how quickly the party is able to get on the right track to solve it. Including hints that the GM can drop into play if the players need additional help is also a good practice for RPG writers to consider. There may not actually be any need for dice rolling in order to solve some puzzles. We're skipping ahead in the story to the very end. A few other encounters have occurred since the party left the puzzle room, and now they've managed to set the building on fire. We are rejoining them as they try to escape the burning toy store with Valdri.
As your group gathers their senses, the building around you is completely being consumed in flame. There is fire spreading very rapidly across these toys. Valdri, in kind of a state of panic, is sitting behind his desk and looking around as if not sure what to grab or what to do. But you all need to get out of here.
Stev, grab the man.
I charge in that direction and go to just grab him by his collar.
Okay.
Gently.
I mean, like, by the back of his collar, not his throat.
Like you scruff him like a kitten.
Yeah. It's a gnome, right?
Yeah.
It is a gnome.
He's like a third my
He's
height.
an old man. Like, be gentle with him, man.
I'm an old man.
As you go to grab him, I need you to roll for me a lifting check, a brawn.
Yes.
I'm going to say that you're good at lifting things, so I will give you that third die.
If you fail and throw your back out, I'm running out of here and leaving you to die.
Just roll 3 ones. That'd be awful. So I got a 2, a 4, and a 6.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So that's a complete success. Very successful. I was rolling opposed. So Valdri was not interested in leaving, so he rolled brawn against you. You might be surprised to find that Valdri is not very strong.
Oh.
And I didn't roll great either. So on top of that, he got two failures. So you get 3 successes to his 2 failures. So he kind of like feebly struggles against you and maybe like hits his fists on your back a little bit being like, no, no, I can't leave all my toys.
So I did roll a 2. So can I get a question with
You
that?
most certainly may.
What within immediate area around me and around Valdri looks like out of all items and things like that, what can I just grab in my other arm to take
You-
with me? If I could grab the table, I would.
You see a toy on the table that looks very much like a teddy bear. It's clearly not quite a standard teddy bear. It looks a lot like a rabbit, with some like goofy buck teeth coming out the front. But this toy is clearly very well taken care of and is sitting very prominently on the table.
I wonder
Yeah.
if this is the errand rabbit that we saw the trails for.
Ooh. Definitely snagging that uh in the other arm, sort of like stuffing it into my armpit gently ish.
Mm-hmm.
Along with any other like notes or anything, just sort of grab a scoop. But focusing on that, so like that's the main thing.
Okay. So you grab the rabbit and a fistful of papers, and Valdri slung over your shoulder, and you're ready to go.
So ready.
Do I
All
have?
of yes.
Oh, I just want to ask. So I happen to see a toy that could be quickly jury rigged to juice apples.
Good question.
I don't have anything like that in this adventure, but I tell you what, you roll well enough brains for perception, and I might just give you something.
I'm looking for something that could spray apple juice to put out fires.
Yeah, go ahead. What is that roll?
Is that going to be 2 dice or
It's gonna be 2 dice. I don't think you were prepared to put out fire.
But once he
that's
finds
a
it,
2 and a 5. So 1 success, 1 failure.
Okay.
No.
So it's a mixed success. You see something that could potentially be set up to spray apple juice at fire. But the problem is it would take work to actually assemble it in that manner. Like you see like a wooden train, and then there's this other kind of soldier-esque toy, and you're like, if I put that with this, and then I kind of like strung these together, then I could probably create something that will just like press apples pretty quickly and spray juice everywhere. But it would take you a solid 10 or 15 minutes to put all that together, and this room is very on fire right now.
for a moment,
So
I thought you were gonna say that you see all the pieces to make this thing, but unfortunately they're on fire.
No, that's worse.
that would be a good way to do that. But no, I said what I
Yes.
said.
Yes. Good. Good.
Y'all need to get out of here. So y'all get out of here.
I'm
Watching
going to-
around, ready to leave.
As I am starting my escape, I'm going to be looking around for any stuffed animals.
Okay.
Aw.
You are passing back through the jester room. Do you want to pick up a bunch of those?
No,
those
are
with
there
you?
any
No.
stuffed animals that do not look like they are possessed by demons?
There are piles of stuffed animals out in the main room where you all initially came from when you first entered the building, but all of those are pretty weathered. Lots of wind and moisture has gotten to them, so they're kind of musty and kind of mildewy.
Are they ruined, or do they need cleaning?
A little of column A, a little of column B. Depends on what you grab.
Okay.
Depends
going
on how
to-
much you like the things.
I'm going to roll a speedy perception to
Yep.
rescue something redeemable.
Yep.
All right, I got a 2 and a 1.
Okay, those are both very successful. You find redeemable toys that you scoop up as you're running past. As you emerge out into daylight, you realize that not only is the space behind you kind of claustrophobic because of all the toys and things that are all over the place, but it's also very musty and kind of moldy. And to smell fresh air which you haven't been able to for quite some time being inside that building, is very nice. It's a very pleasant feeling to have fresh air to breathe once more.
Oh,
Before we exited, Nell rummaged through his different pouches and thought that it was like one particular one, and he threw it behind him. And his goal was to make the fire a different color, but
Mhm.
I don't know if that's what actually happened.
Okay,
So,
let's roll 2d6 on that one.
copper
okay.
sulfate.
Okay, that's a 5 and a 6.
Okay. And that definitely would have been brains because you're trying to pick the right component. So that would be a failure,
No!
and it's a
Throw
complete
some
failure,
thermite in there.
which means that
No!
not only does the fire get larger, but I think there's a small explosion that like blows you forward, causing you 1 damage. Um, but you're able to scramble quickly to your feet and continue outrunning the flames. Um, if any of
Dang.
you if any of you look behind you as you exit the building, you can see that the fire has now spread to the roof as well as some of the walls and is consuming the building whole.
That's not what I wanted to do.
I hope not.
You hear the town rallying together a bucket brigade to try to at least control the flames before they get out of hand. But you also get the distinct feeling, this is TM feeling to the characters. You get the distinct feeling that sticking around is going to implicate you in starting this fire.
As we are all covered in ash, that's probably a fair point.
We have what we came for.
We should hurry back to Gazrin's sprocket fire.
Is it
Okay.
lunchtime still? How long have we been in there?
You've been in there for several hours. It is, we're going to say,
Is it lunchtime of the next day now?
we're going to say it's morning of the next day as you're emerging from the shop. But by the time you get back to Westchester, it is pretty close to lunchtime.
I am tired.
I'm
Toymaker.
dirty.
Like, have we talked to him?
I shake him awake on my shoulder.
I was going to say that he would have been unconscious from fleeing, partially from smoke inhalation and partially from being jostled around quite that much. It's been a while since he did anything really involving a lot of physical motion.
His number was a 6.
Yeah, basically. Basically.
But yeah,
As
I'll shake him and see if he wakes up.
You give him a little rattle. He stirs on your back. What? What? Oh no, my shop is gone.
You were awake for that?
Well, for the burning, yes. And given that we're I guess in, this looks kind of like Westchester, so I assume we've left town.
We were able to save some of the toys.
We've got this bunny looking thing.
I grabbed
Stab-
some stuffed animals.
Hold up the stuffed animal thing that I kind of have him like face. His face is facing
Uh-huh.
my back.
Like turn his
Uh-huh.
head.
I'm ahead of the party, so I just hold this
Uh-huh.
behind me. Like,
Smell it.
Oh, you rescued Critter. That was always her favorite.
Her?
Well, yes, my daughter. And as he says this, you all are approaching the tavern, and Gazrin is also approaching the tavern for her regular lunch, and she sees Valdri and she says, "Dad? Is that you?" And Valdri says,
pick
"Oh,
him up and turn him.
oh, Gazrin, I didn't think I'd ever see you again. Is it really you after all this time?" Gazrin says, yeah, Dad, it's me. And the two embrace. And then Gazrin, through tears, is very, very appreciative to all of you, though not tremendously good at expressing it with words. She does pull from her belt a very sizable pouch, which jingles quite heartily. And she just kind of like generally like presses it your direction. For whichever of you lays hands on it first, it's hefty. You have been very well paid for your efforts.
Mandrake reaches out and pushes the bag of gold back and says, "Instead, how about an order for apples?"
We'll take the gold. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just put my hand over Mandrake's mouth like this. Like, no. Take the gold.
How many dinners is that?
A lot of dinners.
Approximately. I guess it would depend on the quality of the dinner.
That's fair.
Stev would like to address the two gnomes directly, getting down on one knee and sort of putting his hand on the back of, what was the older one name again?
Valdri.
I don't think gnomes like that.
Well, just sort of like it's a big hand, small person, so it would be on the shoulder, but it's just kind of on the back type of thing. So it's like, hey, he leans in.
As you get down to eye level, Gazrin is like, I honestly can't believe you managed it. I thank you so much.
Why didn't you mention this was your dad? Did you mention that? I don't remember that.
No, childhood hero were the words she used.
Oh, yeah. Well, why did he leave? What happened? There's some plot holes that we've got here that I feel like you paid us a lot. You should probably address that.
I know one thing. I turn to Valdri. I will build you a new toy shop.
With the money?
Better not be.
With my axe.
Valdri looks very excited by the concept, and Gazrin says, It's a bit of a long story. Come inside. We'll have lunch together, and I can tell you all about it. And with that, we're going to close the adventure.
Featuring Gabe as Stev, Alex as Ophelia, Chapman as Mandrake, Melissa as Nilbai, and GMing by Josh.